I made a difference. And, we are definitely heroes. When people throw out the word heroes, the sacrifices that were made, but the lives that were saved made it all worth it.
It takes a real special person to volunteer to live at work for 75 days away from their family to help stop the spread of COVID-19. Today, in part 2 of our mini-series on Park Springs Life Plan Community in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm going to introduce you to a very special employee who did just that. Hi, I'm Terry Sullivan, the co-founder of Aging Choices. Last week, in the first part of our series, Donna Moore, the Chief Operating Officer at Park Springs and Isaacson Living, shared the story behind her innovative idea to have staff members lock in to prevent the spread of COVID-19.
I put an article out of the Washington Post, and, it became very evident to me that the single most important thing we could do would be to limit human traffic. And that one seed of an idea of how do we limit human traffic became LockIn.
75 staff members lived on campus for 75 days, away from family and friends to keep their members safe. Today we're going to put the spotlight on Nadia Williams, a healthcare administrator at Park Springs. Nadia is going to share her experience during the lock-in and talk about the sacrifices she made to help protect the health of the members. Nadia, thank you for joining today.
Thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. So tell us, how has life been now that you're living back at home after the lockdown?
So it's been definitely interesting. I had to adjust to going back to what was normal before the lock-in. Yeah. So little things, not being able to go up the hall and see my favorite members and not being able to, bond with the staff that was here was a little different. Yeah. But I get to drive again. Not so much going out because not doing that just yet, but I was able to spend time with my family and my boyfriend. So it was nice.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So let's go back to March when Donna first introduced this idea of locking in and taking care of your members. What was your initial reaction when you heard when she brought it up?
So when we first discussed this lock-in together, to me it was always a no-brainer. Yeah. I always knew that I was going to be part of this. I knew that it was something I couldn't miss. Being a leader in this organization, I had to lead by example, and I could never ask the staff to do something that I wasn't willing to also do myself. Yeah. But I also saw it as an opportunity to get to know them, get to know the members, and it was a win-win for me. This experience was definitely invaluable, and I wouldn't have wanted to miss out on it at all.
Wow, that's amazing. So there really wasn't a question. You just knew this is what I needed to do. That's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. So what was it like living at the community for 11 weeks?
It was amazing. I mean, the first couple of weeks, we wore our masks, we had our PPE and everything. And then after that, once we realized that, there was no COVID in the building, we really became family. It was a sisterhood throughout. We got to interact with the members, and the members became our family as well. We got to love them, hug them, find out their stories, because they have a lot of them had rich lives and a lot of stories to share. We became, partners or hairdressers, daughters to some of them. So it was fulfilling. And then, of course, for us as staff, we got to bond. We got to know each other a lot more. We also got an understanding of what each other does on a daily basis. So we get so hectic sometimes that we don't know what the other is doing, and we got to learn a lot about our roles within the organization as well.
Yeah, there's a lot. I mean, when you really think of the human component of that, it's just building more intimacy and connections with everyone around you, right? In a much more tighter circle, which is pretty incredible. Everyone that participated in this as part of the team made sacrifices, right? Because although it's a beautiful thing that you all came together to support the members, there's the family side and there's the other part. So can you tell our viewers and listeners, what big life event you were not able to attend and what was that like for you?
Absolutely. So it was my baby sister's wedding,
Yeah.
and it was certainly difficult not to be around for it. We Weddings are so huge in my family, and it's something that my sister and I have discussed since we were young. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. We're going to wear this, and
Yeah.
no one imagined that the time that she actually did get married, we would be in the middle of something like a pandemic like this.
Yeah.
So I knew that once I was locked in, leaving wasn't an option. But I still wanted to be able to be there for her. So I was the maid of honor. I did join via Zoom, and I stood by her side, and I backed her. I was there for her emotionally. I was there for her in the best way that I could be, and it was emotional. It was very emotional. She was, obviously sad because I wasn't there. But at the same time, it was gratifying for me because I was able to do both. I was able to serve her in the best way that I could at the time, but I was able to also serve the members because they both needed me at that time. So, it was emotional. It was a wonderful day for the family.
Yeah, I'm sure she was super proud of you too for what you were doing, and but I'm sure very sad at the same time. Um, and this is just a question that came to my mind. So, when you participated in the Zoom, were there any folks from the community that were there as well to watch what was going on, or were you by yourself?
So, briefly, in the beginning, I think Donna was there and Tisha was there, and actually Deborah was as well. And then towards the end, I think they just gave me that time and that intimacy with my family and the privacy. So it was me just alone during the ceremony. And I gave my speech alone, and I had that intimate moment with my sister, and I was alone then.
All right, that just gave me chills. So that's super, super cool. Where was the wedding, if you don't mind me asking?
So the wedding was in Florida. It was a COVID wedding, so it wasn't, huge. It was at our house, and it was outside by the pool, but it was lovely. It was beautiful, and they were happy. Even now that I think about it, it brings me to tears because she was so happy. So
that's all we can ask for, right? Whether it's our children's, our sisters, our siblings, that they find that right person, then they're happy. Clearly, a lot for you in this whole thing, right? Great, good, bad, indifferent, all the different pieces. So what did you learn about yourself as a person during this experience and during the lockdown?
I learned that it is okay as a leader to be vulnerable. I saw that when I was vulnerable, when I opened up, they opened up to me as well. And it's a different dynamic now. I'm able to, they know me. They know who I am at the core, they know when I say I love you guys, they know I mean it. They know that I want the best for them, because as a leader, these are some of the things that you hear all the time. I want the best for you. I appreciate you. But when you're living with someone for 77 days, you can't hide it.
Yeah.
So how you feel about them shows, and it showed. And it would have taken years to develop these relationships, and it would have taken years for them to know me the way they know me now, and for me to know them the way I know them now, had we not lived with each other. And that I am so grateful for, because I was taught, how to lead, but be open. And I was taught how to accept everyone for who they are and where they are, and kind of groom them to be better if they wanted to be better. And I learned what their dreams were. It was just, I learned so much from this experience. I learned friendship. I learned unity. I mean, so many things at once. When a group of people band together with the same goal, we can accomplish anything. And that is exactly what we did.
That's really neat. So you really grew very quickly, even as a leader in a short period of time. But that intimacy, the vulnerability piece is really interesting because all good relationships start with a little bit of vulnerability. So as a leader, very
Mhm.
cool. Very, very cool. So when you left the community and you were walking
Mhm.
out of the doors and you had your suitcase and you knew you were going home, what was that like? What did that feel like after 11 weeks?
I felt I had mixed emotions. You would think that, you get to go home after so long and you would be happy. And I was happy. I was happy that I got to, I was going to spend time with my boyfriend and, we we're going to reconnect. But then a part of me felt sad because those 77 days became my norm.
Yeah.
And I was used to, as I said, if I thought about a certain member, I would just run to their room. There
Yeah.
were days where there were members where I'd go and watch movies with them if they couldn't sleep, or checkers if they were feeling restless, and I did not have that anymore. So I felt, that sadness, and then I also felt sad that I was leaving the staff, because they were, as I said, it was a sisterhood. So
Yeah.
it's like leaving your sister or,
Yeah.
leaving your friend behind. And we had a system. I think we had, we watched TV together. We, um, played games in the evenings when we were off. And, that we know was going to come to an end. But
Yeah.
I was also happy, that I was going in to be with my family again, my boyfriend again, with new experiences to share. So I had mixed feelings about it.
That's yeah, it's a little mixture of both, right? Because you get used to that.
Yeah,
11 weeks is really a long time to spend that much time
long
together
time.
too. So I hear that there was a special surprise guest waiting for you when you left the community in the parking lot. Can you tell the listeners who that was?
Yes, I can. It was my mom, and
Oh.
I had no clue. I had absolutely no clue she was coming. I had spoken to my parents the night before, and they prepped me and said, we're not coming. So sorry, we'll see you in a week or so. So I'd been telling everyone I'm not going to see my parents. But inside, deep down, I was really disappointed that I wasn't going to see them. And I think even as I was exiting, my mom called me and said, how is it going? Have you exited yet? And I said, not yet. So to see her was an absolute shock. It was such a shock, but I was so happy and I couldn't contain my emotions.
Tricky,
I felt
tricky lady.
excited. Yes. I felt like a child again, running to your mom to just take care of you, just to be in my mom's arms. And I was just overwhelmed with emotion.
Yeah, I can't imagine. I can't imagine.
I'm told there are surprises for me that I'm excited to see what they are.
So, Nadia, I heard there was a surprise waiting for you at home. Can you share with our viewers and listeners what that surprise was?
Absolutely. So when I got home, the rest of my family were there. My sister, her husband, my dad, my boyfriend, yes, and they had my boyfriend had decorated the house. There were different areas. There were gifts everywhere and heroes in rose petals all over the house.
Uh,
And he had made dinner for us to have together as a family, and they all let me know how proud they were of me and how much they appreciated the sacrifice. So it was an amazing welcoming home. So that was the surprise that I had no clue about at the time.
he sounds like a good man.
Yes.
So, is there anything else that you'd like to add? One of the things I always end up an interview with is, you know, uh, our life experiences bring different things to us. Is there anything else you'd like to add or share? As your experience.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, this experience has changed me for the rest of my life. I mean, there's no way that I could look back at this experience and not feel fulfilled. I gave my all to serve members, and I am grateful And I'm getting emotional because I'm extremely grateful. There's no way that I'll forget this. The things I learned, the people that I grew to love and they grew to love me. I made a difference. And, you know, we are definitely heroes. When people throw out the word heroes, the sacrifices that were made, but the lives that were saved, made it all worth it. And I'm just so grateful.
That's awesome. You're a hero to us and to me. So thank you for what you've done. And, you know, a lot of us are safer at home and don't have that luxury of not being able to, you know, I mean, people depend on you, and it's the profession you chose, and really thank you for doing what you do, and thank you for sharing your story with us. There needs to be more good news out there, and thank you for sharing. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, and thank you for giving me the opportunity to share.
Nadia's story is amazing, and it really speaks to the saying that in the toughest time, you see the great strength within people. For more heartwarming stories from the employees at Park Springs, download our podcast for the full extended version of Part 2. You can find the link to the podcast on our blog. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Aging Choices and Twitter at My Aging Choices. Thank you for watching.